ask yourself this question. Have you developed a history of quitting? And that is often paired with a history of trying, because really, when someone says, I'm going to give something a try, what they're doing is they're already saying that there's a strong possibility that I'm going to quit because I'm just going to give it a try, right? So if you've developed that history of quitting, right, you're going to want to change that. And you just look back at some of the things that you've done, right? And we've all experienced this at some point or another in our lives. When I was younger, I used to play the piano, and then at some point, after doing it for about 3 to 4 years, I eventually ended up quitting. For some people, it's an instrument. For other people, it's a sport. For other people, it's they started working on a book and then they could never finish it and then they ended up stopping. So what you want to do is you want to try to eliminate that history of quitting, that history of trying, which is setting yourself up for quitting. Not just for you, not just for your business, but what it does is it also sends a message for those of you that have children. When they see, right? When they see that you try something and it didn't work, and then you immediately went on to something else, and then you tried something and that didn't work, and then you went on to something else. What that does is it also teaches your children, because they're mirroring what you do. And when they see that you're just bouncing around from one thing to another, never fully committing to it, never really seeing it through, you're teaching your children the exact same thing. All right, so you want to work on that history, stopping that history, quitting that history of quitting. Look, this even applies to relationships, right? Because statistically speaking, for those of you who don't know, and this isn't poo-pooing on anybody that has ever gone through a marital separation or a divorce, but at the end of the day, statistically speaking, someone who gets divorced is 70% more likely to get divorced a second time, right? Stats for divorce are already high as it is. They're already at 50%. But when you get divorced the first time and you get remarried a second time, you're 70% or more likely to end up getting divorced again. Why? Why? Because you quit the first one. I know that sounds harsh and that may sound rude. And look, every relationship is different. But the thing is, when you've gone through that for whatever reason, I'm not talking about people that are in marriages where they're suffering mental abuse or physical abuse. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about relationships where they became inconvenient. Okay, everybody has problems in their marriage. I don't care who it is. All right, they may look like the perfect couple, but behind closed doors, everybody has skeletons behind their closet. Everyone does. Right? There is no such thing as a perfect relationship. And so my point is that if you've developed a history of quitting, this applies to everything in your life. It doesn't just apply to business, it applies to your relationships, it also applies to your faith. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to learn how to control that so that you don't demonstrate that to your children